Congratulations on your purchase. I'm going to be demonstrating how to adjust the pluckers so it plucks the strings properly in case it got out of adjustment during shipping. It should be in tune or close to being in tune when you do this. First, you need to pull the pneumatic to simulate it playing. Check all of them. Make sure they're all playing before you do any adjustment. And then with your thumb, push down on the string below all of the frets. It should still play. Okay, that indicates it's adjusted properly. That will tell you if the pluckers are at least close. If when you fret with your thumb it misses the string, then it's not deep enough. Check all of them first before you do any adjustment. This appears to be relatively close. The next thing you do is you put your thumb and you slide it as you're plucking. It should stop plucking somewhere about 4 or 5 frets below. The banjo appears to be real close, if not exactly where we want it. Something else you want to be aware of, if this shifts and these pluckers aren't lined up over the string, it can pluck the string next to it, causing it to pluck 2 strings at the same time. Or if it has shifted, it could block, so when it gets done plucking, the plucker is resting on the string next to it. You don't want that either. If this is shifted any, there's 3 screws that this whole assembly can be shifted slightly. Loosen them and with a screwdriver tap it over to get them lined up. To check the plucker depth on the guitar, you pull the pneumatic to simulate it playing. As you can hear, when this is striking, it's hitting 2 strings at one time. This one's hitting 2 strings at one time, and so is this one. That indicates either this is shifted over in between the strings or it's too deep. This is a brand new unit. We're going to align the pluckers with the strings. You look and see where the plucker shaft is. It should be approximately over the top of the string. These appear to be all down about a 1/16 of an inch. So I'm going to loosen the 3 screws to hold the bracket on. And I'm going to shift the bracket up about a 1/16 of an inch. And then I'll loosen the bottom bracket. Tap the and then after you get it aligned, tighten the screws back. You don't have to back the screws off completely. Just take the tension off them. And after you tighten the screws, check it again. Okay, now the shafts of all the pluckers are over the top of the strings that they're going to pluck. Now we can check the depth. Tuning the bass guitar is essentially the same as tuning the other string instruments, except for the dampers. The dampers have to be lifted off the string when you pluck the string. You can do that with your thumb and index finger, and then pluck the string with one of the other fingers, and then adjust the tuning. Now we're going to adjust the bass plucker's depth and alignment. It's easiest to hold the dampers up off the strings while you do this by taping the pneumatics in the closed position. So we'll turn this around. It's a short piece of masking tape. Doesn't have to be taped very good, just enough to hold it. Otherwise it'll be harder to get the tape off. Okay. Now the dampers are up. Now that the dampers are being held off the strings by the tape, we can adjust the depth. Pull each of the pneumatics to see if they're plucking the strings. This one is missing completely, missing the string completely. So I will adjust it down. It is common that this corner is lower than the other three corners because this string has frets farther down and needs to pluck a little bit deeper than the other three strings. The way this is plucking, it's too deep. Okay, to check the plucker depth on the bass guitar, slightly different than the other instruments because we only have 4 frets on 3 of the strings and they end here. So when you check and see if it plucks, it will pluck when it's fretted way down here as opposed to just 4 on the others. If it's plucking down here, that's normal. The main thing you want is that it when you pull the pneumatic, that it actually plucks the string and doesn't miss, and that the pluck is completed. If it's too deep, when you pull it, it'll just move the string over like that, like I'm not pulling it all the way. But when you pull it all the way, it should complete the pluck. Now on this string at the top, the smallest string, it should pluck the string when you fret right here and then end somewhere in this area here. If it's doing that, it's plucking correct. If it's when you fret the small string, if it doesn't hit, the plucker doesn't hit the string, then this corner needs to be a little deeper. This corner typically is a 1/4 inch deeper than the other corners because it needs to pluck deeper because the string frets farther and it's a smaller string.